Hi, this is Jerry Edmon, and welcome to Success in Life. I have an observation about puzzles that I want to talk to you about today. I've really never been a puzzle person. It just seemed like I was never really good at it. I'm sure it's probably just one of those things you have to develop an eye for. I just never really did. I understood how it worked. I could take a puzzle and I could separate it out. I knew about the edges and kind of how all of that worked and all of the color. I would separate the colors, but it was just like it was labor intensive to me, and I just didn't enjoy it. I would get kind of halfway through it and just lose heart. But my daughter loved working puzzles, and one day I was watching my daughter work a puzzle, and I just was kind of amazed at her patience and persistence. She would study one piece and try that and set that aside, and then she'd reach over and grab another, and then search for another and try again and search until she found all of the pieces that fit together, and it just made this beautiful picture. I mean, it was really kind of amazing to see her put all that together. And I just began to think about it. That's the way our life is. You know, we don't always have an idea of what's going on in our life because a lot of times all we're doing is just looking at one little piece and it's just kind of a smudge. And you're thinking, I don't even know what this piece means. And on top of that, we have a box that's full of pieces and it just says some assembling required. Well, it can be almost overwhelming because there's a lot of people today, they're searching for what life means. They want to know what life means. And it's almost like they have to search. They'll find this that fits and that fits until finally, they reach their destination. But in light of the purpose of God, your life pretty much looks like a puzzle. You may have a single piece right now that represents you or at least a part of your life, and it may not make sense by itself, but you got to remember that there's more to your life than just one piece. I'd like to just pause right there for a second to tell you, I don't know what you're going through, but there's more to your life than what you're going through right now. And that's so very important. It may not always make sense by itself, but remember, there's more to life than just the one piece. And you have to occasionally comfort yourself with the knowledge that God has the lid to the box and He kind of knows what the end product is going to look like. I think one of the big takeaways for me was this truth. The story of the puzzle is that our life is more than just this one thing that I'm going through right now. It's more than just this one exchange, more than just this one connection. There's much more to it. And just as the puzzle's being put together one piece at a time, that's kind of how your life is developing. So don't lose heart. There's things that are engaged here that's going to make a big, beautiful picture if you'll just stick to it and allow the pieces of your life to come together. Now, I have 7 observations about how your life looks like and works like a puzzle. And really, the similarities are kind of amazing. All right, here's number 1. Each piece is specific and unique in its assignment. No other piece can replace it. Now, let me bring that closer to home for you. I always thought if I don't do the job that I'm supposed to do, then God can get somebody else. But the fact is most of the time, He can't because no one else fits. That's how unique you are in your design. That's how perfect you are in your design. Other pieces of the puzzle may look very similar to you, but they can't lock into place. When you're not in your place, others suffer. And many times, I'll even say this, the assignment is lost. Now, I don't know how it's possible that out of the billions of people on this planet, no one has your fingerprints. Yours is completely unique. And even so, what you bring to the table is uniquely you. So you are a piece of the puzzle that is like, yet unlike everyone else. They may look like you, they may have similarities, but I'm just telling you right now, you are unique. Now, number 2, each piece has its own personality. In other words, you bring out a part of the picture that no other piece can. That's why it's so important that you be true to you and you trust being yourself. You got to trust that being yourself is enough. Authenticity, in my opinion, authenticity is essential for you to find and fulfill your purpose. We lose ourselves many times by looking at somebody else's beauty, somebody else's strength. But the fact is, you are the completion of the picture, and you bring out a part of the story that nobody else can tell. Now, what this means is that there's no unimportant pieces. Each piece has its own uniqueness. So don't try to change who you are or try to be like someone else. Celebrate the unique qualities that God has given you. All right, let's do number 3. Your piece of the puzzle has its own DNA. Now, I want to step out just a little bit further here, so I want you to stick with me on this. I want you to take this concept a little broader for the point to see how we fit corporately. As with all puzzles, there's a blend and a flow and ties that bring all of the pieces together, that tell a story about that picture. The cut of the pieces are very similar, of the same tribe, of the same body. The bottom line is that you don't just fit with any puzzle. Within each puzzle, there's a kindred of color, of form, a style, and message. And that's home to you. Do you know that you are geographically assigned to a group or a place or a mission? You are geographically assigned to a puzzle for your life. You have an assignment to the location or even the part of the country that you live. Now, I live in Texas. I fit here. You could place me someplace else, and I certainly, I guess, could do all right, but I fit here. You know, I've seen people try to fit into locations, different churches, different groups, but it just didn't match their DNA. It didn't match their style. They're good people. I'm not saying they're not good people. You just don't fit. And they seem to look like you, and they even have some of the things that you like. But your DNA places you in a very specific assignment. I call it your tribe, your people. There's a group that you fit with. There's a place that you fit with. And your piece of the puzzle has its own DNA. And when you try to get out away from that, or you wander too far from it, you'll find that in life you're just not fitting at all. All right, here's number 4. The identity of that piece is discovered in its relation to others. Only when the pieces come together do you see the big picture. You know what I mean? You've got that little tiny piece of the puzzle, but it's only when it connects to something else do you begin to see really what the big picture is supposed to look like. Now, here's what that says to me. You're only made complete in your relationship with other people. You make them complete, they make you complete. I think one of the greatest lessons that you're going to learn in life is that isolation is a trap. It's a mistake to stay away from other people when you're hurt, to stay away from other people when you're discouraged, because you need the strength and the power that only comes from that connection. That's the danger of division. I know that sometimes we get wounded or we get hurt and we try to isolate ourselves, but I'm just telling you that is a mistake. If you've been wounded, if you've been hurt, you need to get over it, and you need to connect with those other people that are around you. You need to get over the offense and not let that be a part of your life. It's very important to the completion of your life. All right, let me do number 5. It's an effortless fit. There's really something special when you snap that piece in place. It's effortless. You don't have to push it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to modify any of it. You know, it's almost like you just lay it over that other piece and boom, it just drops into place. And I know it sounds crazy, but just kind of a good feeling. Just kind of a nice feeling when it locks into place, a sense of completion somehow. But here's the point. You are what you are with no effort. There's no struggle to be what you're called to be. It's in the design. I see people in positions or jobs, and it seems like they're just having a nervous breakdown. Something is wrong when that happens. I mean, when I hear the word burnout in relation to somebody's career or their life, I just begin to think something is wrong. Something's out of order. Most of our struggle comes when we stop being ourselves and we start trying to be something that we're not. So each connection causes you to be locked into place, and you occupy that space with no effort. It's not a struggle to be what you're called to be. That's your design. You are what you are by the grace of God. Can I give you a scripture? Romans chapter 12 and verse 3 said, "For I say through the grace that is given to me to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God has dealt to every man the measure of faith." Now, let me explain here that the subject of this chapter is the many-membered body. The subject here is not faith. It's the many-membered body and how you fit into place with someone else. You've been dealt the measure of faith to fill the place that you're called to be. Because you can go on down and read, where Paul made this statement. He said, "For we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office. So we, being many, are one body in Christ, and every one members one of another." And then verse 6 said, "Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given us, whether it be prophecy, let us prophesy according to the proportion of faith, or ministry, let us wait on our ministry, or he that teacheth on teaching, or he that exhorteth on exhortation, or he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence, or he that serveth with mercy and with cheerfulness." So you can just kind of hear all of these different definitions of assignment. And so the bottom line is that you've been given the measure of faith to do what you need to do to be what you're called to be. There's not a struggle in being you. And whether you're somebody who is called to teach, whether you're somebody that's called to prophesy, whether you're somebody that's called to rule or to show mercy, you have been dealt the measure of faith to accomplish the assignment that God has given to you. So I want to say it one more time. Most of our struggle comes when we forget who we are and we strive to be someone that we're not. But see, you are a piece of the puzzle, and there's not one of the pieces on the board that matches you. They're close. They look like you. They have the feel of you, but they're not like you. That's how unique you are. And number 6, I could just say this. It's beautiful when it's in its place. When you're in your place, my God, there's such a beauty that manifests from your life. When you're in your place, your life says something. You really see that your life is not just about you, rather about how your part contributes to something bigger than you, and the story of the puzzle comes into play right there. Now, I'm telling you, when you're in your place, you look good. That's when you look best. Now, for number 7, I just want to ask this question. What happens when a piece of the puzzle is lost? Now, what do I mean by that? That's when a person gets full of themselves. They lose their way and they believe it's all about them, and they live to themselves rather than being part of the big picture. And so they never make a successful hookup with anybody. They never become part of the big picture. They become an isolationist, and they never become a part. See, that's the danger of pride and strife. It separates you from the body. So you got to remember this, that the blessing of Abraham was not that you're going to get a blessing, but rather you're going to be a blessing. And when you stop connecting and you stop being a blessing, you lose your way and the whole picture suffers. Nobody else can be you, and nobody else can fill your part. As a result, I believe that there's many families, churches, communities that have holes in them because someone didn't fill their place. And as a result, that piece of the puzzle never finds that sense of fullness and completeness that God intended for them to have. I dare say that there are breakdowns in our nation because someone didn't take their place. Let's step away from the big picture for a second and let's just talk about the individual. Here's the danger for the individual. I've seen people quit church and just wander for years, never finding any place. Now, if that person is you and you've been wandering in the desert, not feeling like you belong anywhere, this is a good day for you to get back on track. Here's what I want you to do. Find a local pastor, somebody that you can partner with, a church that you can hook up with, and stay there until you get a green light. Now, here's what I mean. God blesses doing, not sitting. It's almost like the kingdom responds to movement. So find someplace and get involved. Get someplace and start hooking up with what they're doing. And as you begin to do that, God will begin to drop in your heart and bring opportunities to you that'll move you right back into the place that you belong. Okay, these are the instructions that help us find ourselves, and in that relationship with other people, other pieces of the puzzle, and by that I mean our family, our job, our church, and even our nation, we begin to find ourselves and we become complete in who we are. See, because it's my desire to see you grow and find your place. And that's what I call success in life. Now, I've certainly enjoyed being with you today, and I sure appreciate you listening to this podcast. But if you'd like more resources, you can contact me at jerryedmon.com, and we'll get you the resources that you need to help you move forward with success in life.